back.
We are back,
Hi,
guys.
everyone. Just when you thought we weren't coming back, we're back.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, today's topic is actually going to be a fun one. We were talking about how we all have had the opportunity to raise really creative kids, but today we have our lovely guest, and Lauren's going to go ahead and introduce her.
This is Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hello.
Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
So, like Vanessa said, today we're going to talk about raising athletic kids that are in athletics, but in a big bad way. So that's why we asked Mary to come in and talk about her children who are heavily into athletics. How many kids have you got, Mary?
I have 4 sons.
Oh, did you ever try for a girl? Were you hoping for a girl?
No, I was very content with having the 4 boys, and even the last one, I knew it was going to be a boy for some reason.
You're like, what? You just get the clothes.
As long as they were all healthy, so I was very happy with that.
Cool.
So I knew whatever God gave me, that was
You'd be
meant
happy.
to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vanessa has 5 kids.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I know. Feel sorry for me. I know. Actually, I have a young man that I work with. He's 26 years old, and he's working. He has his 6th one on the way.
Oh my!
Oh my God!
What a
I'm
blessing.
like, that's so crazy. I'm like,
Wow.
what? Yeah, he might not be 26. He might be 28. I don't know,
Oh,
but he's
wow.
young.
He's a busy dad.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Very
So he's
busy
like,
dad.
we're kind of waiting, but whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
So how old is your oldest?
My oldest is 26.
And then start going down the next
And
one
then
down.
I have one that's 25
Mhm.
and one that's just turned 21 and then a 17-year-old, 17-year-old.
Okay.
Yes.
The last one.
The last one. Yes.
Yeah.
So she's on her last.
Yeah, I'm on my last.
Oh.
Yeah, mine's 17 also.
Oh,
yeah.
so
Yes,
same.
you understand. Like,
Yes.
I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm getting all emotional thinking
We're
about
going
this
to
one.
an empty nest.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
absolutely. So, Lauren was mentioning that your sons do a sport. What is the sport that they?
So all of them played. Right now my 26-year-old is playing rugby with the adult league. So he loves that. But all 4 of them played soccer when they were young, all through middle school, high school. They were very involved with soccer.
Wow.
Yes.
And can you explain you've told me this like 100 times and I never remember.
But I've never heard it, so you can tell me.
The
like,
different divisions and how they
the
work through the
clubs.
ranks. Yeah.
So they all started in the rec leagues when they were 4, and and then some of them played club in high school. Most of them, all of them played high school. So they were all participating. And my second oldest son actually went on and played for college 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was able to go on with academics and soccer and play for school.
So you are the epitome of a soccer mom.
I'm a
basically.
soccer mom. And I'm proud of it.
Right,
I love soccer.
right?
Mary has the whole setup.
A soccer ball still all over my house. I have everything's broken because of soccer balls. My gas fireplace has no glass in front of it because of a soccer ball.
Oh my God. So are you saying there was once glass? And
Yes,
now-
yeah, it was shattered by a soccer ball.
So this is normal.
Normal.
For
Yes.
Okay.
I gave up saying no to the balls being kicked because it just never worked. I'm like, just embrace it and buy cheap items.
Right. So
Good advice.
yeah. So did you ever have to say something to the effect of, "That's why we don't have nice things"?
Yes. Yeah, boys just tend to be rough.
Yeah.
And if there's no ball around, they'll find something to make it a soccer.
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh, that's hilarious.
That
Yes.
is too funny.
So, so they're pretty, like you had them consecutively. Maybe the youngest, that's the biggest
That
age
was the
spread,
blessing,
right?
yeah. Later
Okay.
on.
That was a blessing.
That was a blessing.
Later on, yes.
Aw.
So the 3 older ones, you had them in soccer, and they're like how many grades apart? Like 1?
They were all like 2.5 years apart.
Okay.
We didn't even plan it that way. It just happened.
Aw.
And then the other one is 4 years apart.
Okay.
So
So, oh my gosh. So I have heard, because a lot of Nicole's friends were in soccer,
Mhm.
the scheduling and the
It's
traveling. Can you tell us a little bit
It was
about
crazy. There was times when we would go to the field, and I'm divorced now, but when we would go to the fields, it was like each one of them on a different field, and you would see part of one game, part of another game, and you would just miss different parts because there were so many all at once. Their games would be going, especially the tournaments, and you're traveling from all these different fields, and then when you go out of town, all the different travel from one field to another. So lots of driving.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
a
gosh.
lot of driving.
So you would have to go out of town, but when you went out of town, they would be playing on different fields.
Yes.
Even,
And
Lord.
even in town, we play at all different fields in town as well. So you travel from one field to another.
Like cross town
You can,
stuff?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, because
heavens.
Henderson has their fields, and yeah, so.
So it's all age. Is it based on age, based on ability, both?
Well, it's the rec is more for recreational, and the club is based on skill level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So how was it as a mom to know that your children were just so athletically talented here? Like, what are the things that you had to kind of figure out in terms of scheduling, organizing stuff? Like,
It was very challenging. I mean, because the whole like even the weekends where there's tournaments, your whole weekend's that tournament, that soccer tournament. So scheduling the food, scheduling healthy items, it was also academics very important because we know that that they need to keep that up, their grades. So it was challenging with the practice. A lot easier now when they started driving, could drive themselves to practice.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Freedom!
Yeah, so that helped a lot, but very challenging. There's many times I would sleep in the car during practices just because I was exhausted, and then to come, have to come home, and when you're working and balancing that act, and the practices were sometimes all at different fields. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Did you ever, in that soccer community, did you lean upon other parents?
Yes, yeah, we did help each other out, which was so nice. I'm so grateful for the many parents that drove my kids, and even today there's times I drive still kids who can't drive yet or don't have the means, but the soccer community, and I'm sure with any sport, there's a community to help each other out, and you really develop some wonderful friendships. So it's just very nice.
I was going to ask you about that because in my experience growing up as a ballet dancer and the scheduling, so we go to school during the day, and then when we were younger, we would be able to come home for like an hour or so, and then we'd have to go to the studio, and then we'd be in, God forbid, if we were rehearsing for a ballet or something like that. And so we would do our homework in between class and rehearsal, and you had to fit schoolwork in. But because of that, I didn't have a whole lot of friends at school because they didn't understand the commitment at that age. They didn't get it. But at ballet, that's where all of our friends were. So now that I'm 57 years old, all my friends from my childhood are my ballet friends. Like, I don't keep in touch with anyone from high school, from school, because they weren't my friends. Is it similar? Was it similar?
I think
for
it
your
is a little
kids?
bit. My kids, when they were in high school, they had their high school friends with the soccer team,
Mm-hmm.
but that's their community there. But some of them don't play the club, so some do, some don't. So they have these friendships in different realms because the club are all different schools. So anybody could try out for any club. So yeah, I do think it's hard. They don't have their friendships are around what, like yours was ballet. I think the similar sports.
Right. What do you? Was there anything that you can remember that was really stressful, or even now, like with having to juggle everybody's?
I mean,
stuff?
what's stressful for me is making sure I get to the games, and it's so hard when you're working, and sometimes they put the games during those work hours, and I mean, I just want to. I love watching my boys play. So,
Right,
and
right.
especially when they're off to college playing, it was so hard to get to the games. So that was really challenging, but it's just so much joy of mine to watch them play. So that is more of emotional stress if I can't get there or it's difficult or because I just savor those moments of being watching them play.
So, how did you guys figure out that soccer was their sport? Was it something that you saw as they were just playing? Did you ask them? Did you want to play? I mean, how did that evolve?
Well, it was sort of interesting because, like, when we were living in Pennsylvania, my one son who played for college, he was kicking and doing ice hockey and actually did really well with it. And he was kicking a football like so crazy, and he was a goalie, so his
Okay,
kick,
there you go.
that paid off. But yeah, I think soccer was just very like embracing community, and I think we just leaned towards that because it was very easy to get involved with that and the rec level. So there was lots of teams, lots of sign up, very available here.
So, how does it feel now that you have one left at home, right? Like just like me, and now that part of your chapter is, it's not quite as hectic, is it?
No, but it's still the getting to the games is my hectic part, because I
'Cause
want to
you
see them
work.
play. Yeah, I work quite a bit,
Yeah.
so my job's pretty intense. So getting to the games is I just want to be there,
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. But it's not as hectic, and as some of my kids as my oldest son didn't really stay in they all had different levels of soccer. So my youngest is very involved. So he's in quite a bit and really enjoys it. But yeah, it's not as hectic for
Yeah.
sure.
When you started with your oldest son, was it just I guess a normal thing when they see their big brother playing? It's like,
Yes.
oh, wow, I want to
They
do
wanna
that
play.
too.
Yeah, we had the lab in the soccer jersey. We have pictures with all them soccer jerseys and the dogs in the soccer jerseys. Yeah, yeah, they all wanted to play. So yeah,
So obviously, with any sport, there's a technique to it. And my mom used to tell the story. She would watch us in class or rehearsal or something, and it would be like, is
Yeah.
it? Did you
Yeah.
experience the same thing?
yes.
Yeah.
And being a goalie's mom is not easy.
Oh God.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
so
Tell
it's-
us about that.
Yeah,
Like, what can
and
happen?
all three of my boys play goalie at one
Oh
point.
really?
But I would sit way down on the end, like way far away, because it's always the goalie's fault, even though we know it's not.
Yeah,
right,
you
right.
know. But it's just like, and I still do that.
Yeah,
you
you
still-
know,
yeah.
even now I'm like, oh, please don't get hurt.
Yeah, all that flinching.
Yeah.
I would have been a great goalie. Anytime I played any sport, the ball would hit my face just like that. I went through
Just stand
yeah.
there.
I went through like four pairs of glasses one year.
Oh my
mom was
gosh.
like, "What is going on?" I don't know. I don't know. I just I just do the thing and then I just have my face.
Oh my god. So Vanessa.
Yeah.
I know. My gosh.
So there's of course pros and cons to everything, and we've all heard the story of the parent that's yelling at somebody else's kid and all of that, and your kids being a goalie.
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
that used to happen. What would you do? Like, I'd be ready to fight somebody.
Uh-huh.
It was
And I know
hard.
you're not like that. So-
No, but it was hard, to hear the commentaries and the. I mean, I learned a lot, like through the years with just learn. My biggest thing is keep my mouth shut.
Right.
You're like,
And I'm not their coach. I'm not anybody's corrector. Just shut up and stay away. If you can't handle, walk away from it because, it's not going to do any good but ruin the play.
Yeah.
And it's for the kids.
yeah.
And just it does get the commentary gets rough. It gets hard, especially like when your own kid gets hurt and you're like, that was unnecessary. Why are you doing that? I mean, I've seen fights on the field.
Right.
It's
Have
just.
you seen fights like between parents?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I mean, there used to be the old technique of give every parent a lollipop. So they
what
won't
is that?
say anything.
Oh, really?
That
So who
is
would give
so
them the
fun.
lollipop?
If they started yelling, they would
The
team
coach?
Oh, that's
manager.
hilarious.
They give them a lollipop so they
Really?
would say something.
That is so funny.
I love
So the one
that.
with the most lollipops, they lost.
So they're supposed to be sucking instead of yelling. But no, it was hard. I'm not going to say it wasn't. I
Yeah.
mean, there was nothing in me that wanted to defend, but I don't know that much. I don't know everything. I don't hardly know anything about soccer, So anymore, I just, if I'm going to mumble, I'm off by myself and try to, stay away or, try not to say anything.
Not let
Just
somebody
keep my,
hear you.
just keep my own mouth shut and not respond.
I would have a very difficult
Oh, me
time.
too.
Yeah, my daughter played flag football for 1 year.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was one of those things where I would I'm so loud. I'm so loud. So, the other side of the stadium could hear me. They're like, where's that coming from?
I always tell Vanessa you're inside voice.
Inside
Vanessa.
voice. I know.
It's hard, yeah. I
couldn't
mean,
do it.
sometimes it's like just learning. Like I just had to learn that my boys don't want to talk about their games afterwards.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Even
I
if
just
they win?
unless
like,
they bring it up, I don't bring it up.
Wow.
Yeah, because
So
I
they're
made a lot of
humble.
parenting flaws.
Oh.
That were misconstrued on the sporting. So it's a learning process, and it's hard to know how to encourage, how to because then they think, oh, you're just saying that because you're my mom.
Yeah, yeah.
Were they all like that?
Some more so than others, but yeah.
Do you think that's the hardest part of being a soccer mom is trying to figure out that balance?
Yes.
Of do I say anything? Do I not say
It
anything?
is hard. It's still hard. Yeah. It really is hard.
And that's pretty much with everything with the kids, because I used to get that from Nicole when she was in high school. You're just saying that because you're my mom. You don't know. You don't know. And the thing that they don't get is that we do know.
Yeah.
We do know.
And we're super proud of them regardless.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah.
And they just can't. So that's like almost like a teenage rite of passage, and you still have a teenager in the house. And I know people want to say it's different between boys and girls, and that's a whole other podcast, by the way. We're not going to get into that right now. The difference between raising boys and girls. But having that through their teenage years when they're so fragile with their emotions and how they feel about themselves and getting to know themselves and all of that, when you have a kid that's highly creative or highly smart and academic, a kid that's highly athletic, talented in a certain way, do you find, and you almost kind of have to compare your kid with somebody else, and that's so hard to do, but did you find during that time when they were coming up that you as a mom, you wanted to encourage them, especially when they were down and feeling bad about themselves, but no matter what you said, it was the wrong thing?
Yes, all the time. All the time. I mean, I'm super proud of all four of my sons. They're amazing. I think the world of them. I mean, and I always want to know, they're just, incredible. Each one, I'm very unique with unique gifts and abilities. But it's hard to, to know how to communicate that with them really believing it and knowing that's deeply how I feel. And I'm here for you, but it is hard. It's very hard.
I have a friend of mine who has 3 boys, and and she's one of these people that just loves hugging, and she's an affectionate person physically, and her boys are like, nope.
Your touch is like acid.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that to some degree it's like like we were all telling you were saying. You have to kind of figure out what will work best for that kid, as much as you really want to support them the way you want to support them.
Right. Well, they all have different unique personalities, and even, we do too. So it's figuring that out, like what is their language, and it's not easy,
It's not
So
easy.
we
That's-
just do the best.
That's so cool that you even know that. My sister and I got compared all the time growing up. Like I was expected to be like her, and that was detrimental. It was detrimental. So that's cool that you even know that. And I tell people that have multiple kids and they're really young and stuff. I'm like, those are like completely different people.
Yeah.
One's not going to be like the other.
Exactly.
It's going to be completely different.
I mean, I'm sure I'm at fault for doing that, as
Mhm.
well, and I regret that
Mhm.
because it is detrimental.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
I think when, as Lauren and I have discussed before, it's almost like, we weren't given a manual. We don't know what we're doing.
Right.
This is like,
And
we're just going to try this thing, see how it works.
Right.
I'm gonna run with it.
Right? They're still alive. They got food. All right.
Right. And they're on their own journeys, and
Yeah.
they have to figure it out.
Exactly.
And
And that's the main reason why we're doing this podcast is I know a lot of times I felt like, oh, I'm the only one going through this. None of my friends' kids are going through this. I'm the only one. I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And this just opens up a lot of discussions that we can have. You've been through it. You're going through it. You can just speak to your experience, and maybe something you say will help someone watching and say, oh my God, I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I should try that. And it's just to help parents out because there's no book.
no,
We're all winging it.
yeah,
Doesn't matter how many of them you have. When you
Right.
have the next one, you're going to wing it with that one.
Right.
Because what you did with the one before it may not work.
exactly.
Yeah.
No.
So what do you, like, if you had to look back and see how you parented, because I know I've had so many, I feel like I've made so many mistakes with each and every one of my kids.
Same here,
Equal
yeah.
opportunity.
Yes,
mistake
exactly,
maker.
exactly. With 5, that's why I don't even, I
I'm
can't even
right
quantify
there.
that. What are some things you wish you could have done differently?
And the athletic.
Yeah, or just raising them.
I mean, boy, there's so many, but
I get it.
Probably slow down more and listen more, and I feel like I was always exhausted, so I wish I would have slowed down and just taken more time and hung out and really find out, more of them and their dreams and desires and encourage more of that. So there's a lot more, but I just feel like it went so fast.
Yes.
It just
Even
where
with
did
4?
Yes, I just feel like it went
Really?
so fast.
Where did the time go?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're right. And I think because we have multiple children, it's almost like you want to give them all your time, but you're only one person,
Right.
And so, like you said, you're going from one field to another, and you're like, oh God, I missed out on. Did you see that I made a goal? It's like, oh, honey, I was at the other field.
Right.
It's like
That must have happened at parent-teacher conferences too.
Yes, yes, and open houses. I
And
always,
open houses.
always feel guilty when I miss them.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, because I remember seeing parents running from one to the next, and then the two parents would divide and
Yeah.
conquer.
Yeah.
And then if it was just one parent, then they were trying to hit every. And I'm sitting there. I got one.
Right.
Go to the next class.
Yes.
But at some point, I'm just kind of calculating because I'm Asian. I'm supposed to be good at this stuff.
You're a hot mess.
Yes, all the time. You had probably kids in 3 different schools at
Oh,
some
yeah.
point, right?
Mhm.
How was that on
Crazy.
top of that? Oh my
Plus
God.
the soccer, so you got to
Yeah.
pick them up.
Yes.
Yeah, plus your own life, right? To
Right.
do all that and just all this juggling.
It was very hectic.
Mhm.
And that would be this thing. I felt like it went so fast because of that. I mean, and then, and we had help, which is great. We had our community of people that would pick up, and we helped out as well. So it was reciprocal. But that was good. I mean, having the help. But yeah, it was going from one school to another school, and it was. I think if I look back, I would have savored more those times of driving, using those to talk and communicate, and
Instead of like, what knuckling
yeah,
it. Oh my God.
complaining about the traffic,
Yeah.
and
Just getting into practice.
Yes.
Just on time. I remember when I first met you, it blew my mind. Number one, that you had 4 boys, because I knew how many hours you were putting in at work. So, because that's how we met. I'm like, how is this woman doing this? Like, there's 24 hours in a day. It blew my mind, and you always had a smile on your
Oh.
face.
Yeah.
You were always such a delight to be around and to
thank you.
talk to on the phone, and I'd be a hanky mess. And it would, see, because God knows what He's doing. He
Right.
gave me 1 for a reason. He gave you 4.
I can't even imagine. Can
Well,
you
you're a
imagine?
special case.
Yes, you
Yeah.
got 5.
Well, we didn't have TV back then, so
That's
just
what
kind
we
of,
did.
But
yeah,
Well, thank
yeah.
you.
No, I used to. Oh my gosh.
Well,
was a lot.
it's our children are our blessings. I've learned so much from my children.
I know.
So-
Don't you feel like just a much better person because
Yes.
of them on some
Yes.
level?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor babies.
So now that 4 of them, or 3 of them are out of the
Right.
house, and 1 is getting ready.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I
Is he a
know.
senior this year?
Junior.
Junior
Okay.
this
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
Okay, so you have 1 more year.
I know, but still.
I know.
And you were
I
saying
know.
that with 4 it went fast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 1 more.
Yes.
How you doing?
Yeah.
It's hard. This empty nest. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
hard.
is.
I miss them terribly.
Mhm.
But I'm happy for them. They're all on different journeys.
Mhm.
They're all doing well, amazing, and I'm happy for their journeys. And I'm here when they want to call me.
Right. Like, hey, remember me?
yes,
Of course
yes.
they
But I
do.
miss them.
You have good boys.
Yes.
Do you feel like soccer really helped them on in other things?
I do. I feel like the sports in general really do teach them how to be a good team player. They have good friendships. I've watched them grow in their skill, as well as some of their coaches have been great mentors. It's not always that way, but
Yeah.
that's just,
Mhm.
you go to
Yeah.
college, you have good professors,
Yeah.
and you have bad friends.
Exactly.
Right.
So I do. I really feel blessed that they had the opportunity to participate in sports,
Mhm.
So,
So,
very
are-
much so.
Are any of them getting married?
No.
The next journey or what have you.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
One day you're gonna be a grandma.
Right now, I don't see it. But,
Right.
Not happening anytime.
but I welcome that.
Right. Another chapter in our lives. For
Another
sure.
journey. Are you a
Yeah.
grandma now?
Oh no, not yet. Oh,
Okay.
you know what? I'm a grandma to puppies.
Oh,
So all my
there you
kids have puppies.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah,
That-
that's my grandpuppies right there.
That's great.
They're so funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
One of these days. One of these
Yeah,
days.
we don't rush that though.
No.
But I'll be happy for
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, when the,
Goodness.
When the
Some-
time's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're hugely very thankful for you coming here and just talking about your experience
Oh,
and
thank
stuff.
you for the opportunity.
It's crazy our journeys as parents.
It is.
So
It's so. What's crazy is we have one more interview to do, but the similarities,
Mhm.
the similarities between raising a creative kid and raising an athletic kid, so incredibly different, but so many similarities.
Yes.
So many. It's we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
I think we forget that though
I
sometimes.
think
Yes.
we do.
You know, like
I think we do. I think it's more like
compartmentalize.
Thank you.
Yes.
yeah, because I know when Nicole was in high school, it was like, okay, you do this and you do that and you do this. And really, we're all doing the same thing, trying to work toward the same goal, even if your kid's playing soccer and that kid's playing football and this kid's in mathletes and
Mhm.
this kid's in ballet. It doesn't
Yeah, that's
matter.
a thing. I love it.
We all are trying to do, and I think we forget. I'm just having an aha moment. Sorry.
No, we love our hot moments.
But we're all in this together.
That's right.
It is. It's cool. It's cool. All trying to raise responsible members of society that won't go out and, be, irresponsible members of society. And even if that happens, we still all love our kids just as deeply
Mm-hmm.
Right.
as everyone else, and we're all doing this together.
Yeah.
We're all the gosh, that's so crazy.
I think we just really do forget. We get so stuck in the things that we're focused on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, like I do this all the time, the exact same thing. Just driving down the road with my kids, and I forget, like I could have a full-on conversation with them, as
Right.
opposed to really just focusing on the other things that are not as important. You know?
Okay, I gotta ask you this: did your kids do this? You get in the car and they put their headphones.
Oh,
in
all the
and then-
time.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
We know you can hear me.
Yeah. All y'all.
What? Can't hear you. I have my headphones
Like, she's
in.
like looking at you.
What, Mama? I'm listening to my music.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Sing it.
Like, how about you listen to your?
Blasting it for a reason.
Yeah. How about you listen to your music while you're walking down the 95 instead of driving? How about
There
that?
you
Oh.
There you go. That's a good way. That's a good thought. I might try that.
Hey, we're all here to learn.
You know,
That's
different techniques.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm here to help.
Making people's dreams come true.
Yeah, that's how I roll. So, Mary, thank you
Oh,
so
you're welcome. My
much for
pleasure.
coming, driving
Yeah,
all the
so
way
nice.
out here.
No problem.
And we know you got to go because
Yes.
guess what? Your son has a game.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so
for
much,
having me.
Mary.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank
Takes
you.
her a while to turn the
Are you
cameras
gonna
off.
sign out? Or
Yes, we need to sign off.
Oh yeah, guys, if you like
We're
us.
still not used to this, guys.
No,
Yeah,
we're not.
sorry.
We're not. You know, if you like us, let us know by subscribing down below. Comment, good. Please let us know what we can do better.
Criticism, good criticism.
Good criticism.
Constructive
Yeah.
criticism.
Yeah, and of course follow us on Instagram as well. guys.
And don't forget to hit the bell below for notifications when,
Subscribe.
and most importantly, subscribe. That's it.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
One day this
we're
is
gonna get
be
this.
so
It's gonna be so
smooth.
smooth. It's one day.
Swear to God,
Yeah.
might be 4 months from now.
I don't.
But it will
I
happen.
think what had happened in my head was I thought
Nothing.
Yeah, that too. But once something decided to enter my head, I thought we were gonna do that with just Carrie, but whatever.
yeah.
We're clear, right? We're
Yeah.
clear. Yeah, we're
Oh,
clear.
good.
We're
Yeah.
clear.